Hey, sixth graders, we got another video here for you after you finished your quiz. This is on volume, so I want you to find this sheet and glue it to page 36. You can pause the video to do that. And now we're going to talk about our last metric unit. I want you to think about what units to use to talk about how much liquid there is. Think about when you're cooking or when you're drinking pop. How much liquid, when you talk about it, what unit do you use? And we're talking about volume. So here in America, we cook. We have teaspoons, tablespoons, cup, ounces, quarts, gallons. I'm pretty sure gallons isn't the smallest, isn't the biggest one. I think there's more, but when I get gallons of gas, I'm getting gallons. In other countries, they get liters of gas, but I'm not sure what's bigger than gallon. I'm not sure actually. So again, the numbers, there are 16 cups in a gallon, there are 8 pints in a gallon, and there are 4 quarts in 1 gallon. But you can also buy a half gallon of milk. But why wouldn't you just say it was 2 quarts then? I don't know, it's super confusing. So we're talking about perspective and the different places we are in the world and how we talk about measurements. So we just got finished talking about length and talking about mass, and now we're talking about volume. Things are just talked about differently. You have this page on page 27. So our 3 units that you're going to know everything about is metric. So our volume, we're going to be talking about liters. And again, everything's going to be out of a base 10. So remember, we have this whole spectrum of these units that we can talk about: kilo, hecto, deca, whatever the unit is, deci, centi, and milli. But we're only talking for volume. We're going to talk about kiloliters, liters, and milliliters. So we're both total opposite sides on how big or small an object is or how much liquid we're talking about. And we can use this sheet for any of these. So we use this for meters when we practice converting meters. We use this when we were talking about grams. We got kilograms, grams, and milligrams. And now we're talking about liters. So these are the main 3 that we talk about in science. And a kilogram or a kiloliter or a kilometer, they're all talking about 1,000 of whatever that unit is. So 1,000 grams is 1 kilogram. 1,000 liters is 1 kiloliter. 1,000 meters is 1 kilometer. So we can use this for all 3 of the units. All right, here are the notes. I want you to copy this down. What is volume? How much space something takes up. And I like this picture here because it has the 3 states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas. Solids take up space. So they've got a picture of an apple here. An apple takes up space. So it does have a volume. A pencil takes up space. In this room here, I can actually hold this thing. It's taking up space. If I put it in my binder, it's taking up space in my binder. Solids have volume. Liquid also has volume. Here is a glass of orange juice. The orange juice is filling up this container only about 3/4 full, and it's taking up space in that cup. Also, this coffee cup looks way too full to be drinking, but it is full, so it's taking up space inside that cup. And the last one is a gas. Gas does take up space. So right here in my living room that I'm in, there is gas right here, and it's taking up space. So anything that's not in here, any of the solids or my coffee that's sitting over here, there's gas filling up this space in here. So this looks like it's steam coming out of an iron. And also balloons is a nice way to see that air takes up space. We can actually capture it and fill a balloon. So it's taking up space in the universe. The next thing is, what tools do we use to measure volume? We use a graduated cylinder, which is one of these things here. You've seen this before. A beaker. I don't have a picture of a beaker, but it's something that has more than like 25 or more than 100 milliliters. We would use a beaker to get a larger volume. I can actually just Google a beaker here. Let's look at it. Yep, these things here. One got smashed already in the second hour. So this one goes up to 1,000 milliliters. So that would be 1 liter. This one goes up to 150 milliliters, 500 milliliters. So these 300, they can go up to bigger amounts. And then we can also use a ruler, but remember we're going to be using centimeters or meters if we're finding the volume of things that way. So write these 3 things down on your paper. And here in this graduated cylinder or beaker, we can actually put solids in here to see how many milliliters of space it's taking up. And it seems kind of weird to think about solids and finding how many milliliters they are because we think of liquid mostly. But again, it's just talking about how much space something takes up. That's the volume. So this is called the displacement method, and we'll actually practice this over break. So you have a graduated cylinder or a beaker filled up to a certain number. So there's water in here up to 17, and then I drop my solid in, and then the liquid moves up. So here we've got 17 after my thing is in there, it goes up to 20. So we can figure out that the volume is about 3 milliliters of this gold chunk here. 3 milliliters is the volume. Another way we can do that is to take an object that has clearly 3 different sides. This thing's pretty irregular shape, that's why we would do it in here. But this thing, you can see it's made out of blocks. It's like a perfect shape. We could just take the length times the width times the height, and it is 120 centimeters cubed. Centimeters cubed is the same thing as 1 milliliter. It's just interchangeably. I'll try to always use milliliter though. But when we do measure these things, we will be using centimeters because that's also a unit that we use in metric system. All right. And the last part, metric unit for volume, we're talking about liters. We're only talking about these 3, the kiloliter, the liter, and the milliliter. Pause the video if you need to write that down. Here is a guy in a bathtub. A bathtub, it says 4 bathtubs would be 1 kiloliter. So 1 kiloliter is 1,000 liters of water. That's quite a bit of water. 4 bathtubs is 1 kiloliter. So then think about swimming pools. I have no idea. Another example of volume, when you buy your 2 liter of pop, this is 2 liters. If you cut this in half, it would be 1 liter. And you can buy drinks that are 1 liter, but they're not as common as the 2 liter. Think of a gallon of milk. This is 3.8 liters. So that's quite a bit of liters in a gallon of milk. And down here, we're talking about like a can of pop. Can of pop, they usually measure that in fluid ounces. And under that, they always have the milliliters. So this can of pop, this is a normal can of pop, is 12 ounces, is 335 milliliters. Remember when we did our booger lab and you only had like this much water? That's 10 milliliters. This is 335 milliliters in 1 pop. So just another way of thinking about that. And I want you to think about these objects and write down what unit that you would use to measure them. It would be either a kiloliter, a liter, or a milliliter. And remember, the liter part is always capitalized when you're writing on here. All right. How do I stop you?